Hey, what's up guys? I'm David Johnson and welcome into this week's episode of Best of Skylum Software, where we look at the best photos captured in the field this week that were leveled up with Skylum software. Now, Skylum is a community of software that help photographers post-process better images, a community of software like Luminar 3, Aurora HDR, and Luminar that allow you to quickly edit professional photos that help you get back in the field as fast as possible so you can continue taking photos. Now, to get your photos featured on the Skylum Instagram account and even in these videos, go ahead and head over to Instagram and follow at Skylum_global. And when sharing, use the hashtag #MadeWithLuminar. Remember, the more photos you share with this hashtag, the more chances you have of getting on the Instagram account and even in these videos. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the photos that we have for this week. Now, the first photo that we have to look at is by photographer Kuma Sevic, who is a photographer, he's a filmmaker, he's an adventurer, and he shared this photo from Patagonia, Chile. And it's really nice. Like, Patagonia is one of those locations that shot a whole lot. So how do you make your photos really stand out? Like, how do you take unique photographs of a single location? Well, I think Kuma does a great job of this because he features an iconic location shooting through natural windows. He uses the tree limbs and leaves to really bring you into the image and have you focus right on that mountain range of Patagonia that's so important to that landscape and so familiar to that landscape. And we see it through a different lens, a creative way to compose this shot and really frame up an iconic location in a unique way. Like, if you ever have the ability to go to an iconic location like this, go ahead and take those photos that you generally take and then move on to other compositions that help you to frame up a location in a very unique and creative way, like he's done here. Like, this is such a photograph location. Everybody who goes to Patagonia goes to this location, but I guarantee you that not a lot of people actually have a composition like this, using tree limbs and leaves to use a natural window to frame up the mountain range. The next photo that we have to look at is by photographer Ivan Kazarazov, who shot this photo of the mountain peak on Annapurna 3, a mountain peak that he shot during blue hour, or like right after blue hour, where you have some really interesting light. Blue hour allows you to create really cool temperature and moody photos. So using blue hour is a really unique way to photograph a location. But the way Ivan has done it here is really interesting because he waited till right at the end of that blue hour, when you get the first light from sunrise really featuring the top of that mountain peak, really making it glow, called alpenglow. Now, when you do this, you get a nice pairing of colors. You get the blue hour down at the base of the mountain, but that top of the mountain is really glowing and lit up. So really waiting for good light and unique light is a great way to photograph landscapes. Ivan has done a great job of doing that in this photo in particular, because he takes it and you have that glowing pink color tones that he uses to really make the top of that mountain pop. And if you go through Ivan's Instagram account, he has tons of photos of just mountain peaks, which can seem like a really simple thing to photograph, but when you really get out in the field and try this, it's really difficult to photograph a simplistic like portrait shot of a mountain peak. But Ivan does a really good job of waiting for interesting light and weather patterns to photograph these well. So head over to Ivan's Instagram account too and give him a follow if you want to see more of these mountain peak photos. All right guys, the third photo that we have to look at is from landscape and travel photographer from Norway, Kenneth Flathaug. And we don't have to go far from his home country of Norway to see this next image. This is from Lofoten, and what I want you to take away from this is this cabin in front of a mountain peak, using like a really moody and interesting foreground of rocks leading up to this cabin, is the way that Kenneth used a telephoto lens to compress distances. But not only that, but also pair shapes together. When you look at landscapes in the form of shapes, it really creates interesting photographs. So you have this triangular shape of the house, But right behind it, in a secondary subject, in the background of this image, you have another triangular peak of the mountain that's actually mirroring the shape of the house, which makes it really unique. You also have an interesting color of this cabin that really makes this the subject matter and makes it pop out from the rest of the photo. You have a brightly colored cabin, but the rest of the photo is kind of like dark and moody. It's a great way to make your subjects pop out, looking for color, looking for shapes, and that repetition of shapes going back. All right guys, number 4 photo is from photographer James Ralph Dyer, and this shot is from Dubai. And I've always wanted to go to Dubai because it has such a unique landscape. Like, it's in the middle of the desert, it's flat, and then all of a sudden you have this giant city just jumping up out of the ground. It's insane the way it looks, and James has done a really unique way of photographing this. And from this, take away subject seclusion and use of lines and composition, because the great thing about this is James uses a person in the foreground to really add you into the frame. It makes you imagine if you are already there, looking at the Dubai cityscape off in the distance. But this has done it with dune swept lands and dunes blowing over this road. And he uses leading lines for the road, not only to lead you to the person, but also lead you to the Burj Khalifa, which is that gigantic building off in the distance that's famous in the Dubai city skyline. So he uses interesting ways of composition to pointing to the person, trying to make you feel like you're already there in that landscape. And then the road continues through that dune swept road and then on to the Burj Khalifa, which is this famous iconic building in Dubai. It makes you feel both secluded, but then also included within the cityscape. A really cool shot that James was able to put together. So 2 thumbs up to you, James. Again, guys, if you're looking at these photos and you're like, wow, I would love to have my photos featured on the Skylum Instagram account and both on these videos too, go ahead and follow at Skylum_global on Instagram, and then use the hashtag when posting, hashtag MADEWITHLUMINAR, and you'll have the possibility of seeing your images in these videos as well. All right guys, we have 3 more photos that we need to look at in this list. Number 5 photo is from Instagram account Husky Squad, and huskies and dogs in general, you can't go wrong on Instagram with sharing a dog picture. Everybody's gonna love it. Everybody loves dogs anyways. But they've taken it up a notch and included dogs into this landscape, this epic scene at Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. Now, if you wanna take your dogs out to national monuments or national parks, a lot of these locations will allow dogs in specific areas, but I will ask you to adhere by the rules and the guidelines when you're going into national parks and clean up after your pets, because sometimes when you take dogs into these parks, they damage the environment, and sometimes they disrupt the ecosystem there. So follow the rules as to where you can take your dogs or pets into national parks or national monuments. They did not break any rules, which is a good job taking this photo and leaving no trace in our national parks and preserving those places for future generations. But this is a great photo, not only because it has awesome huskies in it, but also they use Skylum software to add very subtle sun rays into the background. If you really zoom in on this and look at the sun rays coming back down through the clouds in the background, a very subtle way of adding a dynamic impact to your photo, but also they did this in a very realistic way of adding these sun rays. So bravo to you, Husky Squad. Keep posting photos of dogs, because I'll like them definitely. Number 6 photo is from Gary McIntyre, a photographer from Glencoe, Scotland. If you haven't been to Scotland before, or Ireland, or any of those surrounding areas, a lot of times the weather isn't great. But how do you use that to your advantage as a photographer? I think Gary's done a great job with this image and creating a lot of mood and creating a lot of sense of you being there. Again, he uses an interesting faded foreground down at the bottom, looking at this elk through either, I don't know if he's using the ground or leaves or something, but he has something occluding his lens down in the bottom of the frame that really makes you feel like you're peeking above the leaves, really looking at this elk from a distance. I think Gary does a great job of creating that mood and creating this is a misty, foggy morning. You're looking at this elk through the landscape. A really cool shot and a cool way to use the weather to your advantage to create mood in an image. All right guys, and finally the 7th photo in this week's list is from Raphael from Germany. Now he gets this awesome shot of his Weimaraner sitting on this patch of snow in front of these mountains on a frozen lake. Number one, I have no idea how Raphael found a way to make his Weimaraner stay there on that patch of snow to get this photo. I would never be able to do that with my own dogs, but that just shows how bad I am at training dogs. But he does it in a way, again, we're looking at mood, we're looking at pattern repetition, having those snow patches as circles going back into the photo, leading you to these mountain ranges, and then you have a really moody sky, a really well done location, and like you don't see a lot of photographers flocking to Germany for landscapes, but Germany has a lot of really interesting areas that you can actually go to and take these photos like this shot from Bayern Munich, Germany. So go ahead and like look anything up. If you're going to a location, if you're traveling, look up all the places you can go shoot, because just because you aren't going to Iceland or Patagonia or other locations that are epic, if you're going to Germany, Germany is still an epic location that you can get awesome shots at, and Raphael proves that. So thumbs up to Raphael for number one, his dog whispering ability, making his Weimaraner stay there for an epic shot. And then number two, his ability to frame up great photos. Awesome job, Raphael. That's all for this week. Remember, if you want to get your photos featured on the Instagram account and in these videos too, follow at Skylum_global, and when posting, use the hashtag MADEWITHLUMINAR. And remember, the more photos that you post, the more chances you have of getting onto these videos and on the Instagram account. My name is David Johnston. I'm a YouTube creator and landscape photographer. If you want to follow my channel, linked below in the video description, where I help you take better landscape photos using in-field and post-processing tutorials, as well as gear reviews. So again, linked below in the video description if you want to check my channel out. And as always, we'll see you next week. Go ahead and share those photos. Can't wait to see what you come out with.